Something else I think is shameful. I'm on a roll tonight, ladies and gents. The amount of money that we pump into the NHS, it's fine pumping in money, but Kelvin MacKenzie, not when it is not achieving outcomes. So healthcare spending into the NHS apparently doubled over the last 17 years with no health improvement as a result.
No, it's gone from 100 billion to 200 billion. And the idea that it's, quotes, free, unquotes, which is the way that Labour sell it, is absolutely ridiculous. People are paying for it, or we're accumulating debt and then paying interest on it. So what is going to be the future of this? Are we going to carry on like this? Actually, funnily enough, you know, private medicine has gone off the dial since Labour came in, because actually the system doesn't seem to work. I'm not sure the people want to be there. I don't think the doctors want to be there. The nurses don't seem to want to be there in the way that perhaps they might have been in the old days. What is going to be the future? Now, reform, and Labour jumped on this, Farage indicated that he was thinking that the European insurance method might be a better way to get a bang for your buck, rather than having this really totally clapped out service, which doesn't work. If you want to actually see a doctor now, which can't be too much, considering how much of the annual budget of this country is now going towards health, it is as though you are begging a distant relative to lend you some money. They literally don't want. My sense is that the clinics actually think that the patient is getting in the way of the smooth running of their clinic. I think they try and do their best under the system. I think it's overloaded. I don't know what the future for the NHS is. I'm hoping that we have a government which starts to dismantle it. Right? Look after the skint, look after the old, and let everybody else pay on insurance. We don't seem to mind doing that with our cars. We don't mind being prepared to pay for our streaming services. I think on an individual basis, we should start paying for our health, and we should do it as a tax issue, so that if you pay a certain amount of money, you get some kind of tax relief on it. We can't carry on like this. I personally would much prefer a private health insurance of some kind.
Because you've got the money, Kelvin.
Well, so have you.
I'm not the one saying what you're saying.
No,
so your
but why is it that we keep having this argument? We have a crap service and we're overpaying for it year after year.
It isn't crap.
OK, when was the last time you used...
Well, you've had... I'm going to wait. I shouldn't have interrupted you.
No, you carry on. You just tell the audience out there what it is that you have found great about the NHS of late. Anytime.
I've found that cancer treatment diagnosis times are coming down towards target. I'm finding that
coming down. I'm finding that there are more. After 50-odd years, coming down.
I'm finding that there are more GP appointments than there were before. I'm finding that they're about to come on stream 120 new diagnostic centres across the country. I'm finding that there are 24% more doctors and 22% nurses than there were 5 years ago. And I'm finding that slowly but surely, more appointments, shorter waiting times. Nobody is saying it's perfect, but under this government, which wants to keep the NHS free at the point of use,
it's not free. It's not free.
It is.
It is not free. We have to pay taxes.
Taxation. It's funded by taxation, but
it is not free.
Then at the
it is costing a fortune.
Then at the point of use, it is free. And people in this country, listeners and viewers, including of this programme, will be very worried about movements towards private healthcare, where we know it. We've seen the stories of Brits who go to America, have an accident, have a medical procedure and come back owing tens and hundreds of thousands of pounds.
What happens when they go to France or Germany? The complete opposite.
In this country, the Labour government is listening to people and slowly but surely turning it around. And your characterisation, which you're absolutely entitled to have for yourself, I think is one that a lot of people wouldn't recognise.
There's nothing more important than keeping your money and your identity safe online. And with so many VPN options available, choosing the right one can be pretty daunting. But this video's sponsor, ExpressVPN, is making the choice easier for GB News viewers. ExpressVPN is offering up to 75% off, plus 4 extra months free. That's top-level security from just £2.49 a month, and you're covered by their 30-day money-back guarantee. So just click the link in this video's description or scan the QR code now. Remember, when you're online, you are often sharing personal data, so hackers can steal your information, your passwords, your photos, and your bank details in just seconds. But ExpressVPN encrypts your connection, making it virtually impossible for hackers to access your personal information. So why choose ExpressVPN? Well, it couldn't be easier to use. With just one click, you are protected. And ExpressVPN uses military-grade AES 256 encryption, which is the same standard trusted by the US government to guard their classified information. With their new tiered plans, you can protect up to 14 devices at once and manage passwords securely. Live chat support is available 24/7, and it typically connects you in under a minute with a real person. Click the link in this video's description or scan the QR code to get up to 75% off ExpressVPN, plus 4 months extra for free. Start protecting yourself today with ExpressVPN.
You see, one of the things that I find interesting, because you keep repeating that mantra, free at the point of use, and as Kelvin's explaining, and as you already know, it's not free. And when you say it's funded by taxation...
It is, Michelle. It is
but
free.
It's not free.
It's already been, like every
like,
other public service has been funded. Forgive me for interrupting. It's funded by taxation, but it's free at the point of use, whatever your background. If you get knocked over, you get the same treatment whether you're a millionaire or a pauper.
Yeah, but you see,
a poor service, actually.
But this is what a lot of people on the left do, and I'm going on a tangent, so I will bring myself back to NHS in a sec, don't worry. But it's like when people talk about all these free breakfast clubs. Yay, we're so amazing. We've now decided to stop parents having to feed their own children, and we will feed them for free at these breakfast clubs instead. And I sit there thinking, are you lot daft? Because it's not free. What you're doing is you're taking tax off everyone. A lot of people, by the way, won't even have children, and you're taking their tax to fund the breakfast now for all the other children. This use of the word free, it's not free. And what I find fascinating, to Kelvin's point, it's almost like the NHS is a religion. And that if the second you even start to explore, is it going to be better or could it be better in a different format, whatever that format might be? People seem to immediately get offended, immediately feel that you're trying to dismantle the NHS and that you're an awful person and all the rest of it.
Not at all. That is not the suggestion from what I call the sensible people and centre-left politics in this country. The private healthcare sector is being used massively to tackle waiting lists. It's being brought in for hips, for knees, for all sorts of treatments, scanning, diagnostics. There is no ideological barrier whatsoever to using private healthcare. There are many great private healthcare schemes. I founded a business, employ 100 people. We have one for the staff. We're not ideologically against it, and I recognise the characterisation of some that you're making, but that's not where I'm coming from. I think it's free at the point of use so that people don't have to worry about the costs when they're sick, but of course the NHS is not perfect, and I totally recognise that.
Do you think, so when you talk about, I don't know, an insurance-based system, because what you've got really in this country now is you've got people that are essentially double paying. So you're losing your national insurance contribution by default, a big part of which, not all, goes to the NHS. But then you're also then paying additionally on top of that, if you choose to have it or if you can afford to have it or whatever, for private health insurance. And I've always felt that if you are now having to use private healthcare and you're paying for that, there should be some form of national insurance deduction to make sure you're not double paying. But
they want you to double pay. This is a double pay form of politics. It's called socialism. So they want you. So if you're mad enough to want a second home, right, with all the costs that go with a second home, you're going to have to now pay double pay for your council tax. They hate wealth. They hate wealth. They hate wealth. Well, they like it in one sense. They like the tax.
Labour loves business.
They hate business.
Entrepreneurs. Labour loves people making money.
They hate graduates. They hate graduates as well now.
More taxes. Right? Labour loves it.
They can't get it.
The more businesses that make money and the more individuals become wealthy, the more taxes for a better country.
Why don't you tell that idiot in number 10 that? Because he doesn't understand it. He did all right for himself, but actually, if anybody else wants to make any money. They work out 1,000 different ways of A, taking your taxes at a higher level than they've ever been before, and also working out fresh ways of actually...
So why are we fast-growing then as an economy in the G7? You chuck it all out there, but the facts are different.
No,
we've got the fastest-growing economy in the G7,
the fact
and
that
we're
the whole of
turning
Western Europe is on its knees because Asia works harder than we do.
Thank you. Lower mortgages, inflation coming down, interest rates coming down.
Inflation coming down.
That's the focus, Kelvin.
OK,
right.
explain to me why we now have the highest number of 16 to 24-year-olds out of work and not in education in our country. Why is it that graduates are now struggling to get any kind of reply when they ask for a job? Because people have suddenly decided, actually, it's too expensive. This is the first time in my business lifetime that I've ever heard a whole phalanx of business people saying, I'm trying to reduce the number of people that I hire. Yes, cost control has always been part of business, but now they're actually saying the people that are causing the pain for us in our business, unfortunately, are our employees, and we're going to have to let you go. Imagine what a tragedy that is. What a tragedy for parents who suddenly have put a lot of effort, they hope, into their children. Their children have put a lot of effort into it, and then when they go around looking for a job, they get, I'm very sorry to tell you, that thanks to socialism, I'm afraid we're shutting the door.
It's not thanks to I don't know what you're talking about. The government is putting huge resources into tackling the national urgency of young people not in employment, education or training.
Well, why don't they reduce NI so that it's cheaper for people to hire?
Because they inherited, and Margaret Thatcher, 11 years after Lady Thatcher took office, she was still telling us about the damage that Labour did, in her opinion, in the 70s. Well, a year and a half in, yes, you've anticipated it, Kelvin. I am going to say that the government inherited an economic mess. It did, and you don't change it overnight.
Well, no, you haven't even changed it over 2 years. You're not going to change it in 5 when you're going to get slung out in a bigger sling out than Labour was slung in on.
All right, Mr. Meg.
I wish I had more time, because if I did, I would love to ask you, indulging your theory that you think Labour is so good for entrepreneurs, I would love to have explored with you why on earth then so many successful people cannot get out of this country fast enough if Labour is such a wonderful...
There's debate over those figures, Michelle.
By the way,
I'm afraid there's debate over that fact.
I've been to Dubai. I've seen people with my own eyes. I know people,
the
very
numbers compared to 5 years ago, I do as well. We know the same people.
So then we will probably know collectively that they're out of here. They can't wait to get out of here. And the ones that are not out of here, they're sitting, and you will know this, they are sitting and they are planning and they are plotting. How can I get out of here? They probably haven't left because they've got anchors here that they can't currently release. But you know as well as I do that a great number of successful, financially, very well-off people who don't want to be here. And by the way,
let's look at the numbers compared to 5 years ago.
Yeah, well,
Michelle,
before I move on, you keep talking about us being the fastest growth in the G7. No, we're not, actually. When you look at the last year, your final quarter, perhaps, yeah, but quarter 2, quarter 3, absolutely not.